The day my neighbor handed me eviction papers for land my family had owned for 94 years. He was smiling. Big smile, expensive suit, gold watch catching the morning light. I'm 67 years old. I've buried a wife, raised 3 kids alone, and kept 31 acres of Oklahoma farmland alive through droughts, recessions, and 2 floods that took everything except the house. And this man who moved in 14 months ago, was standing at my door at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday telling me I had 30 days to vacate. What he didn't know was that I used to be a property attorney for 22 years. I retired to farm. He picked the wrong neighbor. My name is Raymond Cole. People around Claremore, Oklahoma know me as the man who grows the best sorghum in Rogers County. They don't know, because I never mention it, that I spent 2 decades arguing property law in Oklahoma City courtrooms before I came home to the land my grandfather homesteaded in 1931. My wife Patricia passed 6 years ago. Kidney failure. She loved this land more than I did, if that's even possible. Used to sit on the east porch every evening watching the field go dark, saying the same thing every single time. Raymond, nobody can take what God already gave. I used to smile at that. After that Tuesday morning, I held on to it like a lifeline. Victor Shaw bought the 12-acre property next to mine in March of last year, paid cash. Moved in with his wife, 2 assistants, and a lifestyle that didn't match rural Oklahoma in any way. Private chef, security cameras facing my property, a black Range Rover that sat in the driveway like a trophy. First month, noise complaints about my tractor. Second month, certified letter about dust interference from my harvest. Third month, he filed a formal county complaint claiming my irrigation runoff was damaging his foundation. The runoff complaint was interesting because the water was flowing downhill, away from his property, toward mine. Basic geography, but Victor Shaw wasn't interested in geography. He was interested in my land. I just didn't know that yet. The documents he handed me that Tuesday looked impressive, thick, official, multi-page, stamped with a county seal that looked real from a distance. The claim was extraordinary, a 1987 municipal expansion agreement supposedly signed by my father, granting the county rights to repossess the eastern 19 acres of my property, with a dormancy clause activating after 35 years. Victor explained it with the patience of a man who had rehearsed this conversation many times. Mr. Cole, I work with Meridian Land Group. We've been contracted by the county to develop this corridor. Your father signed this agreement. It's been on record for decades. We're just activating it. He slid a business card across my porch railing. I looked at the documents for a long moment. Can I keep these? I asked. Of course, he said, still smiling. 30 days, Mr. Cole. He walked back to the Range Rover. I went inside and put on a pot of coffee. I know what a forged county seal looks like. I know because in 2003, I spent 14 months on a case involving exactly that. A developer who had fabricated municipal documents to displace 11 farming families. He went to federal prison. I still have the case file in my office. Victor Shaw's documents had 4 problems. Problem 1, the county seal font changed in 1991. The seal on his 1987 document used the post-1991 version. Problem 2, my father died in 1983, 4 years before he supposedly signed anything. Problem 3, the notary stamp belonged to a woman named Dolores Finch. I looked her up. She received her commission in 1994, 7 years after the document date. Problem 4, the infrastructure corridor described in the agreement ran directly through the most developable section of my property and ended precisely at the boundary of Victor Shaw's 12 acres. This wasn't a dormant municipal agreement. This was a land acquisition scheme, dressed in legal clothing, delivered to a man they assumed was just an old farmer who wouldn't know the difference. I finished my coffee. Then I called an old colleague named Margaret Delacroix, currently the senior investigator for the Oklahoma Real Estate Fraud Division. Margaret had the documents flagged within 48 hours. What her team uncovered was bigger than either of us expected. Victor Shaw, real name Victor Sharov, had run this exact scheme in 3 other states. Identify elderly owners, fabricate agreements, and buy at 30 cents on the dollar. He'd acquired 7 properties this way across 4 states. Total value, approximately $4.1 million. The Meridian Land Group existed only as a shell company registered in Delaware. 1 employee, Victor Shaw himself, and the county official whose name appeared on the authorization letter, a man named Harold Sims, had no knowledge his name and signature had been used. Harold Sims was furious. He became our most important witness. Victor Shaw came back on day 28, 2 days before his deadline, probably expecting panic. He brought a purchase agreement this time. Voluntary sale in lieu of displacement. His words. He sat across my kitchen table with his gold watch and his expensive patience and slid the papers toward me. I slid them back. "Victor," I said, "or would you prefer Sharoff? I want to make sure I use the name that's going to appear in the indictment." The smile left his face for the first time. The back door opened. Margaret Delacroix walked in with 2 federal agents and a Rogers County Sheriff's deputy. Victor Shaw was arrested right there on 31 acres of my grandfather's land. He did not look like a man in an expensive suit anymore. Victor Shaw, Victor Sharov, pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges 8 months later. 11 years, federal prison, no parole. The 7 properties he'd acquired fraudulently were placed in receivership. 3 families in Arizona got their land back. Tennessee settled last spring. My 31 acres never left my name for a single day. Harold Sims retired last year. His granddaughter sent me a Christmas card. I donated $50,000 from the settlement to the Oklahoma Agricultural Legal Aid Foundation for rural property owners who can't afford attorneys. I named the fund after Patricia. She was right, of course. Nobody can take what God already gave. I still farm. Every morning before the sun comes up, I'm walking the east field. The same field Victor Shaw wanted to turn into a corridor. Some people see an old man, and they see a target. They forget that the people who know the rules best are often the ones who chose to step away from them. I'm Raymond Cole. This is my grandfather's land, and it's going to stay that way.